Hi, my name's Phil. I like to talk about politics. In this video, I'd like to discuss a series of statements from one of the more senior and influential Brexiteers in the Conservative Party, their former leader, Iain Duncan Smith, in which he says that the deal he voted for is a load of rubbish. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So, this isn't simply one of those where a Brexiteer realises what they actually voted for isn't really what they voted for. It's a little bit dumber than that. But if you know anything about Iain Duncan Smith, then you won't be surprised. He is known for being more than a little bit thick. So he tweeted a series of statements, and I'm going to go through them here. So the first one is, whilst the UK wants to have a good trade relationship with the EU as a sovereign state, the EU has different ideas. They want our money and they want to stop us being a competitor. The withdrawal agreement we signed last year sadly helps them. Now, I'm going to break this one down. The first one about saying whilst the UK wants to have a good trade relationship with the EU, bearing in mind the UK agreed the framework for a free trade deal last year and has now gone back on it. But I don't want to argue about the sticking points. In fact, do you know what? I want to agree with this Brexiteer. So let's pick out the key thing that I'm just going to go along with. It says here, they want our money and they want to stop us being a competitor. Now, there may be some Brexit supporters. Go on, Phil, argue against that. I'm not going to. In fact, this has been my argument for the longest time. This has also been the argument of Remainers. At a point when we were Remainers, we no longer rejoiners. That's what we said. We said by leaving the EU, we are choosing to set up as a direct competitor the most powerful trading bloc in the world. We said that we will be too weak in the face of it. The Brexiteers, including Iain Duncan Smith, said, no, we hold all the cards. We are in a strong position. We can do this, and this. As soon as we leave the EU, we can do this, and this. Nothing they can do about it. We're in a strong position. We knew that when the time came, when crunch time came, all these same Brexiteers would be whining that the mean EU were being mean. So I am going to agree with this. The EU do want our money. Of course they do. It's a large trading bloc. They want to stop us being a competitor. Yes, because that's how you become the dominant force in any business, in any industry, in any sector, by weakening your competition. You don't want any competition, ideally. The EU are very much like that. The EU, from a trade point of view, is very protectionist. We've said this all along. They're very protectionist. Whilst we were part of the EU, they protected us. The minute we decided to leave, all of a sudden we're outside of that protective bubble. They are our opponents. And we have made that situation. I completely agree with that. Then, he says, the withdrawal agreement we signed last year sadly helps them. Yes, because this is another thing we said. We said we are not going to be able to negotiate a good deal for ourselves. Now, just to be clear about a few things in terms of deals, and we talk about deals and no-deal Brexit and stuff like that, and I still talk about no-deal Brexit, and I have at times had to sort of point out what I mean by that is having to trade with the EU on World Trade Organization terms. In other words, not getting the comprehensive trade deal we were promised. In fact, what we were promised was all the benefits of membership, which goes beyond trade. But we'll focus on trade because that's what he's focusing on here. And when Boris Johnson was negotiating the so-called withdrawal agreement, which actually wasn't, because people will say, oh, he got this deal at the last minute. He didn't. This was a deal that was thrown in the bin by Theresa May as being not good enough. He just pulled it out the bin, dusted it off and claimed it as his own. But, you know, we were saying at the time, they are not going to get a good deal. The EU will be the winners out of any deal Boris Johnson comes up with. And they went, no, Boris is the man. And then when he got it, I told you, he's got his brilliant deal. And I said, have you actually read the deal? Have you? I mean, the two sticking points were, first of all, to get rid of the backstop, he promised to put a trade barrier inside the UK. And also, our stake in the European Central Bank, which upon leaving the EU, we would get back, because that's our stake in it. He said, no, you can keep that. That's what Boris Johnson said. He said, He didn't worry about the money. And this is important for a bit later on in this video. He didn't worry about how much Brexit was going to cost us. He knew, he'd seen the government reports. He knew Brexit was going to cost this country an arm and a leg anyway. What's a few billion extra? And we said this, and they were all going, no, it's a brilliant deal, brilliant deal. And now, but here's the thing about this statement from Iain Duncan Smith. If this were coming from just a normal Brexit supporting member of the public, that's what I would say. I would say at the time, we told you the EU will always win in any negotiation between them and the UK. They are the most impressive negotiating team on the planet. The US are also pretty good. But the EU has a bigger, wealthier trading bloc. As a collective, they're bigger and wealthier than anywhere else in the world. And they didn't get to that position through dumb luck. They got to that position because they have the strongest negotiators. And that was all there was to it. And we told you that. And when the deal was signed, we told you it was not a good deal. You didn't listen. Now, if that was a normal, ordinary member of the public, like I said, that would be the end of it. But this is Iain Duncan Smith. This is an MP, Conservative MP, who voted for several things concerning this withdrawal agreement. So first of all, Boris Johnson wanted to get his withdrawal, before the general election, his withdrawal agreement through Parliament without any scrutiny. He just wanted it passed through within a few days. To which Parliament said, no, you're not doing that. But Iain Duncan Smith voted in favour of doing that. He voted in favour of this withdrawal agreement going through the House of Commons without any scrutiny, in record time without any scrutiny. So basically he voted that MPs shouldn't be able to properly read it. He also voted in favour of the withdrawal agreement itself, not just the timing. But Parliament as a whole said, OK, we're not saying no to the withdrawal agreement, but we want to have a proper look at it. So then Boris Johnson just pulled it, had the general election, got his 80-seat majority, then went back and again pushed it through really quickly. Yet again, Iain Duncan Smith voted for the second time for this thing to belt through the House of Commons in next to no time. And he also voted in favour of the withdrawal agreement as well. So that was him saying, I have read this and understood this perfectly and I'm perfectly happy with it, and I think everyone else has had enough time to read it. If I've had enough time to read it, I'm still writing in crayon, for goodness sake. Everyone else has had enough time to read it. There's no need to talk about it. Let's get it done. He voted for that. To now say that the withdrawal agreement helps the EU and not us, when he voted not only for it, but for MPs not to be able to even debate it, that's more than a little dumb. Do you not agree? That is more than a little dumb. But anyway, after posting, there's another 2 tweets. After posting that first tweet that basically says, I'm an incredible moron and have only just realised, he thinks that he is still possessed of enough wisdom to add another statement to the thread. Now, if I had to make a statement that I had got something so badly wrong that I felt a bit of an imbecile, I'm not sure I'd still be on my bandwagon. I think I would slowly skulk into a corner, quite frankly. But no. Without a hint of irony, he still thinks he can go on. So his second statement, he says, to avoid their own budget black hole, the EU gets £39 billion as a divorce payment from us, reflecting our share of the current EU budget. But it gets worse. Buried in the fine print, unnoticed by many, including him presumably, is the fact we remain hooked into the EU's loan book. Now, to avoid their own budget black hole, everyone has a budget black hole in one sense, in that, you know, you never have as much money as you'd like to spend. In reality, of course, the EU is never in any danger of going bankrupt because they will always make the figures match. Because what they will do is, OK, we haven't got as much money as we would like, so we'll have to rein back on spending, like a lot of governments may do, not like ours. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. The fact of the matter is, he then talks about this £39 billion as a divorce payment from us. It's not a divorce payment. And he even, alludes to it himself. It's reflecting our share of the current EU budget, but it's more than that. It's our share of money that we committed to, and services we're still getting. Bear in mind that £39 billion is covering the services we're still getting as part of the transition period. And if we extended the transition period, we'd have to pay more, of course, because we'd still be retaining those services. But it also includes other things in there for which we have longer term liability, such as paying Nigel Farage's pension contributions, for example. Not fair to make the EU do that. So part of that so-called divorce settlement, which was not a divorce settlement, it was us basically paying what we owed. You know, if we'd stayed in the EU, we could have paid it out over a certain period of time because, you know, we're still in the EU. This is us leaving. It's like, okay, pay your debts off now, can you? But also, it says it gets worse. Buried in the fine print, unnoticed by many, is the fact we remain hooked into the EU's loan book. Now, this is where I'm just going to go into where this comes from. So his third statement, it says well, first of all, before I go through his third statement, I just want to go, because this is where he links the article from The Sun. Now, obviously, article in The Sun, I haven't checked into the details of it. You wouldn't just get your information from The Sun. However, because this article talks about the fact, and the headline says, now Britain faces £160 billion EU loans bill after Brexit, 4 times the size of the divorce settlement, blah, blah, blah. So what they're talking about is our liabilities. Now, here's the thing. Is he trying to argue that we shouldn't honour those? Because it's a bit like having a mortgage on a house. If you move out of the house, you still owe for the house. You know, if you have a mortgage on a house and it's in arrears and you've got negative equity, so you can't just sell it off. It's negative equity. You don't get to say, I can't afford the mortgage, so I'll move out and still not owe for it. You owe for it. Just like we owe for it. You know, we had liabilities in the EU. We still retain those liabilities. Absolutely ridiculous to say that we wouldn't. And again, we argued about this. We said about this at the time. You know, that we will still owe this. Do you know the strange thing is, though? They talk about this £160 billion of EU loans, which, by the way, is an estimate because you never know how much it's going to be. But obviously, we are about to end a serious global recession as a result of COVID. So in actual fact, it's not necessarily unrealistic. I don't know what actual economists have said it is. So again, I'm not going to argue about the value. Let's say it is 160 billion. Knowing that it's from the Sun, that's likely to be at the upper end. But let's say it is. That is still less than Brexit has cost us already and will cost us, you know, after a few years of not having a proper deal with them anyway. But again, the amount is irrelevant. What matters is the fact that these are our debts, our personal debts. We don't get to just drop them. That would be dishonourable. In fact, it'd be illegal. We don't even get the choice. But to even suggest that we should, again, this is what Brexiteer said. You know, and we said this at the time. We said, no, we don't get to drop our liabilities. They were the ones who said we did. So then for them to come back and moan about it, again, is a bit rich. It means basically one of two things. One, they were lying at the time, and now that things are coming out, they're thinking, oh, no, I didn't say that. Or two, they were just that thick. They were that thick that they didn't bother to read into what they were actually voting for. But then his third statement says, you can't be half in the EU and half out. The problem is the withdrawal agreement, the one he voted for, and the one he voted for MPs not to be able to read properly. It costs too much and denies us true national independence. This withdrawal agreement, giving the EU future control over us, has to go. Now Britain faces blah, blah, blah. Oh, so now he's saying that we should renege on an international treaty that we only just signed. So that's what he wants. And bear in mind, this is even less responsible than Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson tried to say he was going to renege on this withdrawal agreement all through this year. But when it came down to it, when he was faced down by the EU, he said... In fact, there was a bit of a scene where Michel Barnier basically said to David Frost, you seem to be suggesting that you're going to renege on this international treaty, to which David Frost had to very hastily say, no, we're fully committed to it. Because the UK, even someone as reckless as Boris Johnson, knows that the UK cannot be seen as people who will sign an agreement and within months go back on it, because then you cannot agree anything with anyone because they won't trust you. It's not worth their effort to talk to you even, because you cannot be trusted. And yet this is someone who tried to become Prime Minister. Fortunately for us, he was up against Tony Blair at the time, wants the UK to tear up an agreement it freely made, and it's billed as a great deal. So yeah, I haven't checked the absolute facts of this thing, but I am perfectly happy to accept them, because at the end of the day, it backs up our argument that we were always going to be stitched up by the EU. The EU will never, ever, ever sign an agreement with the UK that isn't good for the EU. The UK is in the weak position. We said this as soon as it leaves the EU. We are in a weak position. We told people this. They wouldn't listen. And now they're the ones saying, the UK is in a weak position. This is outrageous. Really? Is that what you're saying? But there it is. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, please click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I will see you later.